Hi everybody. Today we're going to look at the another osteology part of our lesson would be the hand. And as you can see, this is the hand, and this is the right hand. We're going to look at the side determination, and how you differentiate within the between the right and left hand. Basically, the hand is composed of the wrist here, the wrist joint, and this this area is composed of the carpal bones, and then above that we have the metacarpals, as you can see here. And metacarpals basically forms the palm of your hand. So that basically here, as you can see, this is the carpal area. Okay, so we have the carpus or carpal bones, and then we have the palm, and basically your palm is composed of your metacarpals. Okay, so these are the metacarpals. And then what you see is the phalanges. So the rest of here is the phalanges. Phalanges is plural, and each independent bony particle would be the phalanx. We're going to look at that a bit later. So the fingers or the digits is like this. Okay. So basically, when you form a fist like this, you turn around. What you see here is the dorsal part of your wrist, of your fist. And these pointed edges are as you know, is the knuckles. So basically, the knuckles is composed of the distal part of your metacarpal bones. So if you form a fist, so these rounded part here, and this is the head of the metacarpals. We're going to look at them each of them in detail. So the head of the metacarpals forms the knuckles of your fist. So basically, this is the metacarpals, and then you have the digits, you have the fingers. Okay, so these are the movable part of your hand, which are the phalanges, and each one of them are called, like I said, phalanx, and there are 5 of them, of course. So we have if we look at the numbers of these independent bones in the carpal area, we have 8 carpal bones. So we're going to differentiate them into 2 rows, proximal and distal rows. So we have the proximal row and we have the distal row, and these are the carpal bones, make up the carpal bones. So we have how many? We have 8 carpal bones, don't forget. And then we have metacarpal bones. We have 5 metacarpal bones, all right? 5 metacarpal bones. And then we have, these are the phalanges. Okay, so we have 3 phalanx on each digit. However, with the exception of the thumb has 2 phalanx, or 2 phalanges, or 2 phalanx. So therefore, if it was 3, 5 times 3 would be 15, and minus 1, since there's 2 phalanx in the thumb, it's 14. So basically, there's 14 phalanx of the fingers, and there's 5 metacarpals and 8 carpal bones. So totally we have 27 bones in our hands. Don't forget that. So we have 27 bones in our hands. All right. So that's about it. And and also the important thing is in the hand. As you can see, there's a lot of articulations, a lot of joints, movable joints, and that allows your hand to do a lot of intricate and skilled type of movement, such as writing, or cutting, or holding, grasping certain things, and and also playing piano. So all these intricate and skilled movements are done via the motion and activity of musculoskeletal structures, including the nerve innervation. So these are really intricate type of motions, muscles and bones and the nerves, and basically the muscular activity of these areas is really important. That when you in the neurocourse, you can look at that there's a homunculus, the upside presented human of the presented in the cerebral cortex, and the hand is represented in a high, wide, increased amount of area is occupied by the hand area. So hand is is really important in nerve innervation, and this is represented in the area that is presented in the cerebral cortex. Okay, so we're going to look at the bony particles, bony parts now, and which is right and left. We're going to look at the side determination, and okay, let's get started. Okay, so let's look at the individual structures and individual bones of the hand. So, like I said, so this is this the right or left? Let's look at that first of all. And one of the important things to look at is the thumb, of course. Thumb is located on the radial side, as you can see. This is the radial side, and this is the thumb. So this basically is on the lateral side. Why did I say this is thumb? Because it has. So this is the metacarpal. Okay, these are metacarpals. These are phalanges, and the phalanges has in the thumb it has two phalanx, proximal and distal. However, in the rest of the digits, second, third, fourth and fifth digits, we have three phalanx, proximal, middle, and distal. So there's three phalanx in the rest of the digits of the fingers. However, in the thumb you have two phalanx. So that's why I said this is the thumb. So the thumb is on the lateral side in anatomical position, sits like this in anatomical position. Okay, so so it can't be like this. Why? Because this is the dorsal aspect. Well, how do I know this is the dorsal aspect of the hand and this is the palmar aspect? Why? Because I look at the carpal bones. This is two important bones that we need to remember. This, it looks like a hook, and this is called the hook of Hammett, and this is the PC form. Okay, so we have these protrusions. Okay, so the hook of Hammett, we have the PC form, and then we have another tubercle, what we call the trapezium. Okay, so there's also a tubercle or protrusion of a slight bone, what we call as the bone of the trapezium. So all these three particles or protrusions or impressions of the bones predict that this is the palmar aspect. So if you look at the dorsal aspect, we don't have any protrusions or any bony particles that is sticking out. They're all straight. So on the dorsal aspect of the wrist, the dorsal aspect is really smooth. It's not really smooth, but there's no bony protrusions that you would encounter on the dorsal aspect. However, in the palmar aspect, in this aspect, you would see. Okay, so if it's like this, all right, this is your right hand. So you would see. You can't see it from the outside, of course. So you have the, especially on the little finger side, which is this. You would see the hook of Hammett, and you would see the sesamate bone, and this would be the palm of your hand. So basically, in radiograph, you would see these bony protrusions. So you would see that is the palm of your hand. If it's like this, that's you don't see. Like I said, you don't see these bony protrusions. That's the dorsal part. And the thumb is always located on the lateral side. Okay, so this is the thumb. This is lateral. This is the little finger, or pinky finger, and this is on the medial side of your hand. Okay, so this is the medial, and this is the lateral side. That's one. Second, the thing that you need to know is that we name them according to their numbers, and we start from number one. Number one starts from with the phalanx. I'm sorry, the thumb, the pollex. Pollex means the thumb. Okay, so thumb is the first, represents the first metacarpal, or first digit. So this is the first digit, first finger, the thumb, or first metacarpal. Okay, this is the second metacarpal, the index finger. Okay, and the third metacarpal. This is the third metacarpal, or third finger or digit, which is the middle finger. And the fourth metacarpal, or the ring finger. Okay, this is the ring finger. And then we have the fifth metacarpal, which is the little finger, or the pinky finger, or pinky. All right, so this is the fifth digit or fifth finger, and this is the fifth metacarpal. So we numbered them from lateral to medial. Okay, from lateral to medial. Number one, starting from the thumb. First metacarpal, second, third, fourth, fifth metacarpal. So if we say there's a fracture on the right hand in the second metacarpal, so if there's a fracture on the right hand in the second metacarpal, we have to look at this, right? This is the second metacarpal. So if there's a fracture on the fourth metacarpal on the right hand, okay, so this is the right hand, and then we have to look at the fourth metacarpal would be this. So if there's a fracture on the fourth metacarpal would be this, okay. Okay, so let's look at, so we looked at the numbered, okay, that's how we number it. Okay, let's look at the carpus or the carpal bones, and then we go from the proximal to the distal to metacarpal and then phalanges. We'll look at the phalanges. Okay, let's look at the carpal bones now. So this is the carpal bones. The carpal bones, we divide them into two rows, the proximal row, and then we have the distal row, right? We have two rows. The proximal row is associated with the with the radius. However, the distal row is associated or forms the articulation with the metacarpals. Okay, so this is the distal row, forms the articulation with the metacarpal bones. However, the proximal row forms articulation with the radius, forming the radiocarpal joint. Okay, let's start with the proximal row now. Now, we're going to name them according to as we go from the lateral to medial. So this is the lateral. Why? Because it's the thumb side. This is the medial. Why? Because this is the little finger side. Okay, so we can go from lateral to medial. Now, the first bone that we can look at is the scaphoid. This bone is the scaphoid. Scaphoid meaning boat. It resembles like a boat. Okay, so it looks like a boat. It resembles a boat. So this is scaphoid, and scaphoid is an important bone that articulates with the lateral triangular articular surface of the radius. All right, and the next bone here is the lunate. Another thing is that scaphoid is really important and prone to fractures when the hand is stretched out, and when you fall on your stretched out hand, it basically you may most likely to fracture the scaphoid. And one of the important clinical aspects of the fractured scaphoid is that mostly it is supplied by two arteries, the proximal and distal branches of the radial artery, and sometimes there's only one branch that goes in the distal aspect of the scaphoid, and that supplies the whole part of the whole part of the scaphoid. However, when there's a fracture in the proximal part, which is fractured, like I said, when you fall on your stretched out hand, it is fractured on the proximal aspect of the scaphoid. And since this does not have its individual blood supply, what happens is that you have the necrosis, avascular necrosis, what we call as avascular necrosis. Why? Because this part does not have any blood supply independently. So when it's fractured, the blood supply that comes from the proximal end does not go to the proximal end. I'm sorry. The blood supply that goes through the distal end does not go to the proximal. Why? Because there's a fracture. So the proximal end is deprived of blood supply, and therefore it undergoes necrosis. So this is what we call as avascular necrosis of the scaphoid bone. All right. The next bone is lunate. Lunate is the moon-shaped. All right, it's a moon-shaped bone, and basically it articulates with the medial surface, with the triangular articular facet of the radius. All right, so this is the lunate, and then we have the triquetral, or also referred to as triquetrum. Triquetrum, it has three angular, okay, it's like a triangular pyramidal shape. It's a triquetrum. The last bone is the pisiform. So we have from lateral to medial. Let's say it again. Scaphoid, lunate, triquetrum, pisiform. Let's say it again. Scaphoid, lunate, triquetrum, pisiform. Let's say it again. Scaphoid, lunate, triquetrum, pisiform. All right, good. So pisiform, my friends, you can feel pisiform here. Okay, this is a sharp, bony protrusion that you can feel on the lateral side of the wrist. So this area that you can feel a bony protrusion is pisiform. All right, so which is this bone here, the most lateral bone sticking out superficially. And pisiform, according to some authors, it's also referred to as a sesamoid bone, which is passing through the tendon of the flexor carpi ulnaris muscle. It is also referred to as sesamoid bone too. So again, lateral to medial, scaphoid, lunate, triquetrum, pisiform. One more time, scaphoid, lunate, triquetrum, pisiform. Okay, know this. Now let's go look at the distal row now. Distal row, again from lateral to medial, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, hamate. Again, once more time. Trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, hamate. One more time. Trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, hamate. Last time. Trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, hamate. As you can see, so basically the distal row of the carpal bones articulates with the metacarpals. So the first trapezium, as you can see it carefully from the side, it's like a saddle. All right. So this is basically a saddle type of joint, which is really important, and this makes up the carpometacarpal joint of the first digit. Okay, so and basically what happens is that so you have the trapezium articulates with the first metacarpal. Okay, so this is the first carpometacarpal joint of the first metacarpal joint, carpometacarpal joint. So basically this is saddle type of joint, and in saddle type of joint you have this flexion, extension, abduction, and slight. You have the rotational movement, and you also have the opponents type of movement. So this is opponents meeting your thumb and towards the little fingers. Opponents, flexion, extension, abduction, adduction, and slight rotational movement. So this is a wide range of movements that occur around the saddle type of joint between the trapezium or the carpal and the first metacarpal. Okay, so this is a very important joint, providing a whole lot of motions around this type of joint. So this is trapezium, and this is trapezoid. Okay, trapezium and trapezoid basically has like four-cornered table. Okay, and then we have the capitate. Capitate is really a large bone. It has a caput or head. Okay, and this is capitate, really big bone. And then we have the hamate on the lateral side, on the medial side. Sorry, this is the medial side. And one of the important aspects of the hamate, it has this hook of hamate. Okay, it has a hook, and this is called the hook of hamate or hamulus. Hook of hamulus. Okay, so this is the hook of hamate, and this is the hamate bone. So basically, let's do it again. So we have the trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, hamate. One more time. Trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, hamate. Last time, trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, and hamate. Okay, so we have hook of hamate and the sesamate bone. Are where it's located. It's located on the palm, on the entry side of the hand. So you don't see hook of hamate or sesamate bone on the dorsal aspect. So this is how we say that this is anteriorly faced hand by looking at these two bony protrusions. Okay, one of the clinical aspects of this wrist is that one is that we have a ligament called transverse carpal ligament, or it is also referred to flexor retinaculum. Okay, so this is basically the flexor retinaculum, the transverse carpal ligaments attach, and these bones basically form the floor of a tunnel, and the roof is basically covered by this flexor retinaculum. Okay, so we have the roof covered by this flexor retinaculum or transverse carpal ligament, and the floor is basically composed of these bony particles, which is the capitate, hamate, trapezium, and trapezoid. So we have a tunnel, and this tunnel is basically referred to as the carpal tunnel. So what's the clinical importance of this carpal tunnel is that you have these ligaments, we have these tendons passing through this tunnel. Okay, in most superficial aspect of this tunnel, you have the tendons, four tendons, flexor digitorum superficialis tendon. Beneath that, you have again four tendons, which belongs to flexor digitorum profundus. Okay, we have four tendons, and then we have on the right side, okay, we near the thumb side, we have the flexor pollicis longus that goes to the thumb. So we have four at above, four below, one on the right side. All right, and above all of these crowded areas, above all, we have the median nerve. So we have the median nerve. Okay, so let's look at from the top view. We have the flexor digitorum, the flexor retinaculum, or transverse carpal ligament. Beneath that you have the median nerve. Beneath that you have the tendons of the flexor digitorum superficialis. Beneath that you have tendons of the flexor digitorum profundus, and then you have the bones. On the right side you have flexor pollicis longus. All right. So what happens is that the clinical significance of this tunnel is that these tendons go all the way down to the either to the proximal phalanx or the middle phalanx, and therefore they flex the fingers. They flex the fingers. Okay. So if you do increased amount of these types of motions, like if you write a lot, if you cut a lot, or if you do all these motions done by your fingers, what happens is that after some time, what we do is overuse of these tendons and the muscles. You have the inflammation of the tendons. Okay, so if you have inflammation tendons, therefore it creates edema in this particular area. Edema would increase the amount of tissue, fascia, and fluid in this area, and therefore ultimately it would compress the nerve. All right, and this nerve is the median nerve. So you have the compression of the median nerve. Thus, the median nerve, because it goes to the hand and supplies the lateral 1, 2, 3, 4.5 areas, the palm and the fingers. Okay, 4.5, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have, what do you have? You have tingling sensation, you have numbness, you have the tenderness at this particular area. So you have the loss of sensation or decreased amount of sensation, or what we call as paresthesia. Okay, and at this particular area, and this is referred to as carpal tunnel syndrome. Carpal tunnel syndrome basically affects the median nerve, the effect of the median. This is the sensory sensory information deficit, and then we have the motor motor part of the median nerve that is likely to go to the thenar eminence. Okay, so these are the thenar eminence. Below that you have the muscles that move the thumb. Okay, just below that. So you have the motor fibers going to those particular muscles, and that particular area becomes non-functional also. And you have the atrophy at this particular area. So you have the motor deficit and you have the sensory deficit because of the compression of the median nerve, because of the inflammation that's going on in this particular crowded area, what we call as the carpal tunnel, and that's what we call as the carpal tunnel syndrome. That's one thing. That's the other thing is that the ulnar nerve also passes very close to the hook of hamate here. So if you have fracture of the hook, it would also damage the ulnar nerve. Okay, so it goes like so. It damages the ulnar nerve. So this is the median nerve in the carpal tunnel, goes out like so. All right, and the ulnar nerve goes like this way, this direction. So it's very close to the hook of hamate. So when you have a fracture of the hook, of hamate, it would also most likely to destroy the ulnar nerve. So ulnar nerve basically goes this way to the palm of the hand and supplies the a medial 1.5 of the palm and the fingers. So that's 1 and 1.5 of the fingers here, or the palm. So this area here, so 1.5. So this area is supplied the sensory information, or the sensory information to the skin, where you have the numbness and tingling and loss of sensation of the skin, touch, pressure, whatever, and you would have this numbness in the 1.5 area of the palm and the fingers of your hand when the ulnar nerve is basically damaged or affected. So that's the median nerve and ulnar nerve because of the effects that we see in the wrist area. Okay, so one other thing that you need to remember is that the carpal bones, okay, it's not it's not located in the wrist. Okay, so this is the wrist. As you know, when you wear it, it's the strap of your watch. Okay, this is, but your carpal bones is located in the palm. Okay, so the proximal part, this is the proximal part of the palm. So your carpal bones is roundabout, located some roundabout here. All right, don't forget that. It's not located in the wrist. All right. Okay, so this is the carpal area, carpus, and the carpal bones. Okay, so let's look at the metacarpals now. So we have first, second, third, fourth, fifth metacarpal bones, and basically it's referred to as long bones. Why? Because it has a base, it has a shaft body, and it has the head. So because of these parts, we refer to these as long bones, although they don't look like long, but they go into that category. So basically, metacarpals are divided into, they have a base, they have a body, shaft, and this is their head. All right, and metacarpals basically attach to the phalanges now, phalanges or phalanx. So phalanges, we have, again, starting from the thumb side, we have the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth fingers that is made out of 3 phalanx, except the thumb. Thumb has 2 phalanx, proximal and distal. The rest, the second, third, fourth, and fifth fingers or digits have 3 phalanx, proximal, middle, and distal phalanx. This is the second finger. Okay, this is the index finger. The middle finger has proximal, middle, and distal phalanx. The ring finger has proximal, middle, and distal phalanx. And the ring and the little finger or the pinky finger has proximal, middle, and distal phalanx. If we look at the okay, so again, these phalanges also have base, shaft, and the head. All right, base, shaft, and the head of the base, shaft, and the head of the proximal phalanx, base, shaft, and head in the middle phalanx, base, shaft, and the head in the distal phalanx. So how are we going to name this? For instance, if you have a fracture over here, how are we going to name this? We're going to name this as there's a fracture on the right hand, the third finger in the middle phalanx. Okay, so this is the right hand, and the third finger of the middle phalanx. Okay, this is the middle phalanx. Or if you have a fracture over here, then how are we going to name this? Right hand, ring finger, distal phalanx, or fourth finger. We can say the fourth finger, and distal phalanx. All right. So let's look at the articulations. Here we have the intercarpal articulation. We have the wrist joint, by the way, at the beginning. We have the wrist joint formed by the radius and scaphoid, lunate, and triquetrum, and also the articular cartilage, articular disc also participates in this joint, the radiocarpal joint. And we have intercarpal joints here among the carpal bones among each other, intercarpal joints. And then we have carpometacarpal joints. So distal carpal bones form articulation with the metacarpals, which form what we form as carpometacarpal joints. Carpometacarpal joints, okay? This carpometacarpal joints. And then we have metacarpophalangeal joints, okay? So we have the metacarpophalangeal joints and metacarpophalangeal joints of the second metacarpophalangeal. This is this third metacarpophalangeal joint, fourth metacarpophalangeal, fifth metacarpophalangeal joint. And then we have the interphalangeal joints. These are the interphalangeal joints, IP joints, interphalangeal joints, all right? And I think that's about it. So in the thumb we have so this is the proximal metacarpophalangeal joint of the first metacarpal. So in the thumb we don't have a distal interphalangeal, so we have proximal and the distal interphalangeal joints in the second, third, fourth, and fifth. And the fifth, in the thumb, in the first metacarpal or first digit, we only have one interphalangeal joint. Okay, because we only have proximal and distal. We don't have a middle phalanx. Okay, so that's about it over here. Right. Okay. So let's look at now the ligaments and the joint capsules of the hand. So let's look at the some of the ligaments and the joints that we see here. Okay. So we have first we have the collateral ligaments. Again, we have the radial collateral and ulnar collaterals. So we have this is the radius. As you can see, it has a wide area, and this is the head of the ulnar. And this is the radius. This is the thumb side. This is the lateral. The ulnar, little finger. This is the medial. Okay. So therefore, here we have the ulnar collateral of the wrist joint. So we have the ulnar collateral ligament of the wrist joint here. As you can see, it's from the head of the ulnar. It passes on to the carpal bones. Okay, so they have the ulnar collateral ligament, and on the radial side we have the radial collateral ligament, as you can see. All right, so this is the radial collateral ligament. Now, so this is the radial collateral attaching the radius or the styling process to the carpal bones. So we have the ulnar collateral and radial collateral ligaments of the wrist joint. So we have to put the word wrist. Why? Because we also have radial and ulnar collateral, remember, of the elbow joint too. So we have to put the joint name there in order to precisely locate the position and location. The other is the radiocarpal ligaments, palmar and dorsal, which is this guy here. So this is the radiocarpal ligament. All right, what we call this is palmar radiocarpal ligament, and we have the dorsal radiocarpal ligament. So these are the radiocarpal, comes from the radius, okay, dorsal part of the end, the dorsal aspect or surface of the distal end of the radius, and attached to the carpal bone. So this is dorsal radiocarpal ligament, and this is the palmar radiocarpal ligament. Okay, so that's about that. And then we have the and again we have the same as the ulnar carpal ligaments. We have this. So this is the ulnar carpal ligaments, or palmar ulnar carpal ligaments, and then we have the dorsal ulnar carpal ligaments. All right. So this is the radiocarpal ligaments, dorsal radiocarpal, dorsal ulnar carpal, palmar radiocarpal, and ulnar carpal ligaments, or palmar ulnar carpal ligaments and palmar radiocarpal ligaments. Okay, and then we have the intercarpal. Okay, so no, before the intercarpal, we have the ulnar radial ligaments. We have on the palmar side again, and on the dorsal side, the ulnar radial ligaments. That it attaches to the radius and ulnar on the back side and on the front side. All right. So that's the wrist area. In the carpal, we have the intercarpal ligaments. We have the intercarpal ligaments of the carpus, and then we have the transverse carpal ligaments. Okay, on these the intercarpal and transverse carpal that connects the carpal bones together. Okay, this is the ligaments inside the carpal bones. If we look at the metacarpal side, we have the carpometacarpal ligaments, carpometacarpal, like from attaching the carpal to metacarpal. Okay, so these are carpometacarpal ligaments. Okay, these are the carpometacarpal ligaments, and these are the palmar. These are the palmar metacarpal. Palmar metacarpal that attaches the metacarpal bones together. Palmar metacarpal, and this is dorsal metacarpal. So basically these metacarpal ligaments attach the metacarpals together. So it's dorsal metacarpal, and these are the palmar metacarpal attaching the metacarpals together. And then here in the joints we have the metacarpal phalangeal joints. Metacarpal phalangeal. Okay, so this is the second metacarpal and attaching to the proximal digit of the second finger. So this joint here is the metacarpal phalangeal joint. All right, and this is the joint capsule and joint capsule. And this is the collateral ligament here, as you can see. It goes obliquely, and this is called the collateral ligament. and this is the joint capsule. And this ligament here is the deep transverse metacarpal ligament. It attaches the metacarpal together. The head, as you can see, this is the head. All right. So this is the head of the metacarpal. So metacarpal it's not movable. It's stable, and because of these transverse metacarpal ligaments that attach both at the bases and both at the head of the metacarpal. So these are the deep transverse metacarpal ligaments that attaches the head of the metacarpals. Then we have the metacarpal ligaments over here on the bases, where in the palmar and dorsal side, where it attaches the bases together. Okay, so this is the, like I said, this is the joint capsule. Okay, so we have the collateral ligament of the metacarpophalangeal, and then we have the joint capsule, collateral ligament, and then we have the deep transverse metacarpal ligaments that attach to the heads of the metacarpals together. And these are the interphalangeal joints. These are the joint capsules. And again, we have the collateral ligament and joint capsules for the interphalangeal joints. And that's about it, I think, yeah. All right, so that's about it, folks. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Thank you for listening to me, and hope we'll be together in our next video. And I think we basically finished the upper limb, upper extremity, and then now we're going to start with the lower extremity, lower limb. And see you at the next video presentation. Bye for now. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.